I think we could have numerous examples all through the curriculum where the curriculum is meeting the emotional needs of the child, and when those needs are met, then the academic, and Ryan's already alluded to this, the academic needs of the child are met as well.
What I saw as a teacher in public schools, as a student teacher, was we were doing a lot of drills that culminated in a quiz. And it was very systematic and step by step, and that was all the students ever got.
It's much richer and much deeper in Waldorf because you do get to start with your first grade class ideally, which I've been lucky enough to have done. And you get to see their skills build, and you get to see their intellect build and their questioning. It's really wonderful to be able to incorporate the arts into story time and into actual will work, which is the lesson book time. And it gives children, I think, a complete picture of what learning can be, whereas when I taught sixth grade before, it was one-dimensional.
Instruction is putting information in. Education is making connections between the information that you have. So connecting what you're doing in the classroom to world events, connecting what you're doing to another human being and how it impacts them, connecting your behavior on the playground and how it affects a peer. Those connections are truly what I think empower children to be able to be amazing and bring out their gifts.
The learning here is really based a lot on responding inwardly to material that's presented in an artistic way, stories for instance, so that when a child is receiving, let's say, a history lesson, it's not just a list of facts to be memorized, it's a very riveting and meaningful story. And the story isn't just meaningful because it's suspenseful or because it's funny, it's meaningful because the teacher has really thought about what meaning he or she wants to bring to the children.
In my opinion, it is kind of the superior form of education because they give the information to the child when their brain is mentally ready for it. Like when you learn about the Greeks when you're in 5th grade, because at that time you're exploring different things, and you're inventing and you're drawing, and lots of art is happening, and you're moving, lots of athleticism. So you go to the pentathlon and you compete with javelin and discus, right? And running and jumping, and it's just a lot of fun. And I think it's really worth doing this Waldorf thing.
We recognize that children aren't empty vessels to be filled up with information, but that instead each child is like a book that the teachers, you and your colleagues, and you as a leader and you as a curriculum specialist, are encouraged to read as an individual, unfolding capacities. So rather than being an empty vessel to fill with information, each child is a kind of mystery to be allowed to unfold, and in so unfolding share their capacities with the world.
The world needs creative, innovative, problem-solving folks, and that's what one of the things that Waldorf brings to the world. Mm-hmm. And I think in the public sector it has a much wider impact, or it will have a much wider impact. And I do know that for several years now, more Waldorf schools are charter schools or more new Waldorf schools are charter schools than private schools. Mm-hmm. Every charter school has something unique about it that's different from every other school, and so there is, curriculum, specialty of curriculum, there are materials and supplies, there's teacher training. So for example, for our system, we have to train our teachers in Waldorf education. We subsidize them for that training. So there's a lot of expenses that we incur as a charter school that's inspired by Waldorf education that a regular public school doesn't have. And so we are not a free school. Now, we can't legally charge anyone to come to school here, but it's important that all the families that do choose this education, that they understand that fundraising is a big part of the school, and that without that we couldn't continue to be what we are. I have 2 sons who have gone through Waldorf. I have an older son who's 16 and a younger son who's 12 here. And I don't think a day goes by, honestly, where I don't get complimented on my kids. And what I get complimented on is their social skills and their ability to engage with an adult on an equal level, to make eye contact, to have a conversation, to shake hands, to be polite. The whole sort of social interaction thing, they do extremely well. And I really attribute that to their Waldorf education, to the environment they're in.
For me, what I've experienced is through my daughter's father, who is a physicist, and initially at the kindergarten level thought that it would be fine for her to go to a Waldorf-inspired school, but that when she entered the grades, she would need to go to a mainstream public school to get the math and science that he thought was important for her. And so I brought him to one of the information meetings, and the main lesson books were laid out from 6th, 7th, and 8th graders. When Aquila's father, a physicist teaching at the college level, paged through the student's main lesson book in the 6th grade and saw the depth of knowledge that they had of these basic properties of physics, he was convinced. What they knew about physics was deeper than what his college students were expressing. And from that moment on, he was a dyed-in-wool Waldorf father. So,
I think what I've seen with my own kids is that there's still peer pressure that always is around in high school, but my kids seem to have a sense of who they are that carries them through, even when that peer pressure is around them. They still want to be friends. They still want to be part of the group. That's normal high school development stuff. But they are also very much focused on what their goals are and what they choose to do. And there are times when they'll say, no, I'm not going to do that. They have an independence that makes me very proud.